Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Donovan. How are you, Donovan?
Good. How are you?
Good. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So today, trying to set this up right here real quick. Today, how are you guys? Good. Wonderful. Awesome. Today, before we get into talking about why investing in you it's a must and it's a priority, I want to talk about a little bit about I Am Mastermind, what we do. And Donovan, we've been working with Donovan. How long have we been working with you, Donovan?
A little over a year. I've been
Little
working
over
with
a
you
year.
guys. Yes.
What were you thinking before you joined I Am Mastermind, and what do you think right now?
Oh gosh, I don't even know if I want to. I don't even know if I want to think about that. I guess to keep it short and simple, before I'd met you guys, I had always thought very, I guess like successful thoughts and things like of that nature. But after meeting you guys definitely helped me expand my vision towards what is possible and realistic. I think everybody can agree to this. I think you'd be able to say this too.
Sure.
I think all of us used to have, or to some degree, have some sort of limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, I always thought highly of myself, but there were certain things that I limited myself on as far as thought went.
Yeah.
So you guys really helped me break through those barriers and expand what that was possible.
Yeah, yeah. And you come from you're an athlete, right? And,
Yeah, I have an athletic background. I mean, I ran track my whole life. I got a Division I scholarship to run track at UTEP. So.
So you kind of, when we're talking about mindset, what were you thinking the mindset is versus what you started studying with us?
I could say the biggest difference was previously I knew mindset was important. I knew how important hard work was, but I had a very, I guess my paradigm was more stuck towards like hustle and grind. It has to be hard and grind it out. I really don't know how else to say it. And I think something you guys really introduced me to was the notion of doing things with ease and making it easy. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say success is easy, but I think it can be attained a lot easier than most people think.
Yeah.
So I just think having that mindset and the attitude of just gratitude and empathy and being able to allow things to come to you instead of having to force it.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically attract things that you want, right?
Yes.
So when we're talking about mindset, we're talking about the way we're thinking. And if you can look at the word mindset, it's setting of the mind, the way our mind works and the way we're operating. And the way we're operating is based off of how we're conditioning, right? So depending on individual, where they're born, what time they came in, and what social class they came in, and who they interacted with while they were growing up, they have been conditioned to think a certain way about money, about success, about what's possible. And when you start realizing that you are product of a program and subconscious programming, and you can change that, that's the beauty of it. But before you can change it, you got to make a committed decision. Can you tell me a little about making a committed decision to change your mindset? What have you learned through this process?
Yeah, I agree. Like you're saying, just reference back what you're talking about, just the programming and having the mindset and being conditioned. I think a lot of people when they're brought up, they're going to be conditioned by their. I mean, I was a direct example of this, but like their socioeconomic environment, whatever their parents' views on our money, their grandparents, just their whole family lineage. Yeah. I think when it comes to making a decision and breaking out of that, you have to be not only accepting of it, but I think the first thing is that some people, I think a lot of people, at least in my case, is I had to get exposed to it. So I had seen certain things like whether it was going on vacation or seeing it like on social media, like the big houses and the cars, and I had always liked that stuff. I just didn't really know what all that came with it. Yeah. So even though I could sit there and like those things and want to get them, I didn't know exactly how. Yeah. So just, I guess, going back to your question is how do you change, I guess, consent to that and change your paradigm and be accepting and welcoming of that. I think one thing is to be exposed to it. Two, it's just going in like to the unknown and really being okay with the unfamiliar, because how are you going to be familiar with it at first, at least how to accept to be. And 3 is just really accepting it. Like you said, I think the same way you're conditioned to think a certain type of way. And I think an easy example is just to do like money or something like that. If you're conditioned to accept or want a certain lifestyle, it's very easy to uncondition yourself and kind of change what it is you want.
Yeah, yeah, and then you said it well. Everyone wants to change. Everyone wants to do better. Like if you just go ask a lot of people, say, who wants to do well? Raise your hand. Everybody raise their hands. Who wants to make this amount of money? Everybody raise their hand. Who wants to be healthy? Who wants to create the life that they love? And who wants to create abundance? Everyone will say, I do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to it, the reality, the commitment that you need to make to change yourself, change who you were, and change who you are is not that easy. It requires a big commitment to changing and big commitment to studying. It's studying you. And it's amazing because I always come across, actually you're one of the only individual I come across the people when I drive around with my car, people stop me and ask me a question, and nobody asks me, hey, how can I buy one of these cars? Everyone asks me, talk about the car, how nice it is, and they talk about it, but nobody comes and asks me, how do I get one of these cars? Because they don't believe they can do it. And I always talk to them and say, hey, if I could do it, you could do it. You don't know my background. I come from another country. I always talk to people. I'm from another country. I'm an immigrant here. I changed my mindset. I changed my reality. And because they don't understand the relationship between the mind and matter, how you can change your mind and you can change your conditioning environment, they don't grasp it and they just let it go. And they never allow themselves to come in and ask, hey, what is it that I need to do to be able to buy one of those cars? You know why?
No, I don't.
Because they don't believe in themselves. They don't think it's possible. When we're thinking, think about this. We talked about this. When we're thinking, immediately we think in limitation. Think about this. When we start thinking, we think with our logic. What's possible? What we experienced in the past. What we think is logical. Because logical keep us in our
it's like our paradigm.
Yeah, exactly.
What we know.
Yeah, and it keeps us where we think we're safe, and we're so worried about stepping out of, like you mentioned earlier, unknown to go after what we want. Because unknown, there might be some dangers. There might be some unpredictable. And as a human, we're programmed to always be prepared for the worst, always be prepared for the danger, always be prepared for something that, we can be ready to take action or fight or flight. We're always looking for something negative outside of ourselves most of the time, based on our nature, to be able to be prepared. So when I tell someone, hey, you can do it, and they start thinking, they're like, okay, they look at the bank account, they look at their job, they look at their degree, they look at the experience in the past, they've never done this before. They're like, how can I do it? And they start thinking about how, and because they don't know the how, they start getting confused, and they will never take action and do anything about it because they don't know how, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of the biggest things, like you said, is just getting out of like that logic paradigm, or not logic paradigm, but just that logic train of thought. And I think, like I said, I was a victim to it. There are certain things you'd tell me, or I talk to you about like certain things, and like you'd be like, hey dude, like it's really easy, like you could just do this or do that. I was like, there's no way, like this guy's crazy. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I could just think like that? And I guess just really, really playing and entertaining that idea, that I realized that it really doesn't take any much more mental effort or energy to think big than it does to think small.
Yeah.
And I think as far as goals go, a lot of people, I mean, obviously I'm not going to tell people don't dream realistically. But I mean, as far as logically, yeah, I think people don't really understand the power of the mind and the thought, and especially desire. But the biggest change has to come, like you said, it has to be belief, and it has to be with the changes within yourself.
Yeah. When we talk about changing yourself, it's amazing if someone is hearing this, because I heard this first time from Abraham, actually. He told me that things has to change within self. I was like, within me, which part of me needs to change? Because when you're talking about mind. You're talking about subconscious mind. When we're talking about, let's get into a little bit of mind and subconscious mind and programming. Really, when you were talking about change within, we're talking about changing the data of our subconscious mind. Because everything in our subconscious mind is images that we have been obtained and we have perceived about life and about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And the opinion that I have of myself, it determines my reality. The opinion I have of myself determines what results I'm going to obtain this year, how the level of happiness I have, the level of the amount of money that I make, the result that I get. It's all according to how I see myself. Let's talk about that. Whenever you ran for Texas Tech, right?
UTEP.
Who?
UTEP. University of Texas.
Tell me about opinion of yourself. How did you start seeing yourself before you could compete on the track? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think how you see yourself is huge. Self-image is everything. It's going to govern your actions towards whatever it is you're doing. And in speaking directly in relation to sports, my freshman year, I was extremely nervous because it was my first year competing there. I was competing against people who had, I'm not going to call them veterans, but who had already been there for a couple of years, who were older than me. So I had to get over that hurdle. But once I was able to get over that and really see myself as I'm able to win and I'm able to compete with these guys and do very well, it was easy for me to start excelling in the sport.
Yeah, but it all started with self-image, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you go into any place, feeling, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's easy to use sports, but like if I'm wearing the best cleats or the best uniform, that all that's like exterior doesn't matter because I could still be feeling confident and insecure inside. And when I go compete against someone, they'll see that.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying that we're a reflection of what the self-image that we have.
The self-image we hold of ourselves.
Yeah. And then how do you improve that self-image? What have you learned through this process?
That's a question. I think personally, the biggest way I improved it was just really playing with the price I wanted to sell myself at. It sounds kind of bad. Not bad. I'm not saying sell myself, but like what I thought I was worthy of. And I think a really easy example to use is like if my self-image before was seeing myself in like I'm going to use cars. I really like cars, so I use that. But if I was going to previously, if I saw myself as like a Corvette or maybe like a truck or something, that's the worth that I was selling myself at. I was able to change that and just play with the idea internally, like, okay, what if I want to sell myself at the price of like a Lamborghini or like a Ferrari and stuff like that. And I think after being consistent and really playing with it and believing in it too, I was able to change that.
Yeah. And it's amazing how you're fairly young. You're 25 years old.
I just turned 24.
24, and learning this information, it's amazing. Well, back to what we're talking about, self-image. The way we're changing self-image is it always has to be improved. It's imagining and start building the person that you want to become. And it's very important to start thinking about it. The purpose of life is to develop. Like the objective of life is develop always. And you always have to have this personality, the person that you want to become, and you need to know who that is, what that person does, how much money they make, what their life looks like, all in your imagination, all in your mind. Basically, I always tell people is basically building an avatar.
It's funny you say that. It really is.
Yeah.
It's like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that game, like Grand Theft Auto. It's kind of like that game. Like you get to like build yourself and live like this in the game, but like this like fantasy lifestyle, and it's based on what you want to do.
Yeah. So is that the guy who runs?
Yeah, he runs around. He kind of it's like steals cars and stuff.
Yeah. So that's how we are, because when we start building right now, we see our physical body, right? But who's moving our body to go do certain things, take certain action?
We are.
The way we're thinking, right? And who's in charge of that man moving around, doing things, and taking action?
We are.
It's the mind.
Yeah.
Right? So when we're talking about self-image, when you start building this avatar, when I learned this, that what self-image is, I start building this avatar. I start saying, okay, this is how much I want to make. This is who I want to become. This is what my life I want to look like. Right now, I have close friends and business partners, and you've been around. The life that I live right now literally is demonstration of what I imagined to live, because I made a decision. I said, this is the life that I want. Mm-hmm. And I start making a decision. I start thinking about it. When I start thinking about it, ideas just coming to me.
Yeah.
And tell me, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Was it hard? Yes. Did I make mistakes? Yes. Did I learn? Yes. Did I grow? Yes. It's a process of becoming. So when I learn, it's up to me to pick a pen and I start writing how much is it that I want to make. What is it that I want my life to look like? So I start building this avatar in my imagination. And according to that avatar, I start getting ideas. What is it that I need to do
to really become that?
To become that. That's one thing. The second part that's very interesting is I always compare myself with that avatar. Okay, Taha, is what you're about to do or the behavior that you have or the decision that you make, does it align with that avatar?
Yeah, I think it kind of starts as like a checks and balances system. It kind of helps you stay in place and in tune like with the avatar. And I think a really good example to use is really easy, but I feel like most people, at least successful people, they try to wake up early and be really consistent with certain things. Yeah. So, I mean, I do the same thing. If it's like there'll be nights like I'm up studying or working late and stuff like that. And my alarm goes off and sometimes I might tell myself like, hey, Donovan, it's 5, you need to wake up. And I'm like, all right, like, well, what, if I was really that person I see myself being, what would I do? And yeah, it's just going back to what you're saying. I agree. You can kind of compare yourself to the avatar and just keep yourself in check.
But you mentioned something very interesting that every one of us do without paying attention, having an inner talk, inner conversation, right? So when you build that, right now you're building self-image, right?
Yes.
And when you want to do something that doesn't align with that self-image, you have to have that inner talk to overrule your paradigm, to tell yourself, hey, no, this is what I need to do. If I want to become that person, this is what I need to study. This is what I need to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. The process is what is really always was interesting to me when I started learning this information. You know, when I start learning that it's up to me to create my reality or create my environment, I got really excited. And I start stopping everybody that I knew that I was interacting with, telling them, hey, sit down, I need to tell you something very important. And they're like, what? I was like, do you know that you're product of your programming? Do you know that, do you know what subconscious is? Do you know what self-image is? You can't change your life. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to live in lack. It's up to you. Before, I didn't know it was up to me, honestly. I always thought it was up to circumstance, situations, people coming across, my luck. And I start stopping people. And a lot of people, most of the people, they ignore me. And I was a little bit disappointed. And I heard one day Bob says he was wanting to help all his family and his friends and everybody that he knows, but not a lot of people were receptive to it because he early understood that this is for people who are wanting to go somewhere. They have a big desire, big dream. It's not for mediocres. It's not for average individual. And that kind of changed my mindset. And I was saying, I'm going to help people because every one of us have same ability regarding where we came from, what our ethnicity is, what our gender is, what language we speak, what's our background. Like today, you can make a decision to change your life. Today, up to date. It doesn't matter what happened past or what your current result is. From today, you can change your results. I decided to say, I made a decision that I'm going to help everyone. I'm going to be here. but the one who make a decision and they really want to change. Most of the people, when I talk to them, they don't think they need this information. They think they have a good job. They think that they're fine. They think this is life. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the commitment that comes with it. A lot of people, even if the ones who do take the approach of like, okay, I'll try it out. I think I've seen a lot of people kind of get burnt out within like a month or so. It's like, oh well, like it was good to go, but I have this to do. So it's really not a priority to them. Yeah, and I think they don't understand that when it comes to your life, like you're saying, you are in control, and I write the script of what it is I want to become. I don't want to say this is everything, but it kind of is. Like it's everything. It's a easy way to put it is like it's a lifestyle,
right?
Because you're constantly trying to improve yourself in your situation.
Yeah. Let me give you guys an example. This is everything actually, because when you get up in the morning, do you get up and step out of the bed with right foot or left foot?
Today I did it with my left foot.
The decision that you make, start getting up in the morning, you decide what to do, it's all according to your mind. What rules our body? Our body is an instrument of mind, right? Everything that we do, it goes back to the mind. So think about this. When we're talking to people, when they're popular, hey, you need to invest in yourself. You need to start studying. You need to start understanding your power. You need to understanding that you can create your environment. You can go where you want to go. And they're like, oh, okay. Tell me a little bit about your program. I'm like, well, we have a business matrix on Saturday at 9 to, man, Saturday is my day off. Saturday, I don't want to work on myself because they don't understand before, or they say, they talk about their other priorities. Their priorities is go do everything, but not study and invest in themselves because they don't know. And I understand. Believe me, I was at that point. I was at there sometimes because they don't understand. Everything starts with mind. All the decision that we make, all the results that we have, money that we make, happiness, the friends that we have in our life, accomplishment, everything goes back to the mind. The only difference that we have, everyone in this world, all the men are equal, right?
Yes.
That we have is the way we're thinking. Think about that.
Yeah, like you're saying, everything starts within. So it all starts with like a conscious thought. And I think what a lot of people do is they try to change. When it comes to circumstances, they're using that as an excuse. Even if they do try to change, they try to change what's going on outside them, and they don't try to change what's going on inside them.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, just a lack of understanding, a lack of misinformation, but they don't understand that when I change what's going on within me, that's going to alter everything going on around me.
Absolutely.
And they go to try to change everything around them. But if they themselves don't change, then nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah.
It's just like a temporary fix.
Yeah,
or solution.
because we've been programmed to look outside, not inside. We've been programmed to look outside and look at our environment and start blaming others and never take responsibility.
Yeah, and I think that's a very easy thing to do. I think, at least what I've seen with I guess older adults, I'd say they don't want to take responsibility because it's a lot harder. They don't look at the truth of things, and they don't want to really, I guess, accept who they are, so then they can become better. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay for some people to not, I'm going to say, not be doing well, because it doesn't matter where you are. You can always change where you want to be. And a lot of people just, like you said, just don't want to take the responsibility for that.
Yeah. And the day that you start changing that and take responsibility, knowing that everything that I'm experiencing is because of me, when you take responsibility, you take responsibility of your world and how you want it to be. But if you never take responsibility, you're never going to say, I'm going to own up to this and I'm going to change this.
Yeah.
Because it's never, in your mind, it was never up to you. And it's not you, it's something outside of you. And it's something outside of you, you have no control over that. Think about that. That's why people always blame others. Oh, their circumstance, their situation, their past, their family, their education, always something, country, president, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very easy, especially, it's for everybody to just blame everything else. So like you're saying, politics and president and everything that's going on, like, oh, this day and age. But something I really learned from you guys that I like a lot, that I mean, I take to heart dearly is if I have circumstances that I don't like, I can create my own.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think people don't really understand how deep of a statement that is.
Yeah, yeah, circumstance. And that goes back to wayward thinking. Because when we want to thinking about circumstance, if you truly think about it, everything is, the way we're thinking is sets of chain of events, right? So if you start understanding the mind, the body is an instrument of the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what decision that I make, I create circumstance. And when you see people in different circumstance, you understand how they were thinking, because their thoughts made a decision and choices, and that decision and choice would create another one, another circumstance, another reality, and they got where they're at. And the chain of event, when we're talking about right now, the decision that we make, every one of us today makes, it sets up chain of event for today, for next week, for next month. And if we don't like it, if we start looking at the cause and effect, because what we're seeing as effect is it's the results, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you start working with the cause and create the cause that you want, to create the circumstance that you want, that's the beauty of it. But you have to understand the laws of cause and effect. And you start creating your circumstance, and you start creating them by design, how you think. But that requires understanding how your thinking sets up chain of events in future.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of going back to what you're saying, how you would, when you first would come upon this information, you would try to tell people it's within you. I think it's very funny because I could say the same thing, but like you're saying, cause and effect. I think a really simple example to give is like when people are sad, like maybe they're going through like a breakup or something. I mean, I understand the whole emotional thing of it, but they're sad and then they continue to go listen to sad music for like a week or a month straight, and then they wonder why they continue to be sad. Mm-hmm. Or like even if it's like something like you won some sort of competition, they win and they don't know that because they won, they're carrying themselves high and they're thinking highly of themselves. So therefore, the next couple of weeks, they're having really great weeks and great days. Mm-hmm. It's because they've been thinking, oh, I'm a winner and I deserve this. Yeah. And it's just I just feel like those are really simple examples of like a product of how your thought is going to influence everything.
Yeah. Positive mental attitude. You know, when I heard positive mental attitude, I was like, oh, this is, why would I be positive? That's not real. That's not realistic, right? And then when I understand the positive mindset, the positive mental attitude, it's going to help me to see the good in everything. And it's going to help me to step forward in unknown and keep pushing forward. I start thinking positive.
Yeah.
Because when you start thinking about this, when you know truly, when you really study, this what happened to me. When you truly study and you know what you think you become, think about this. What you think you become, you're going to monitor your thoughts carefully, because you don't want to think something that you don't want. But guess what we do?
Most people think a lot of things that they don't want to see. And it's it's crazy. I think I would be lying to you if I said I didn't used to do the same thing. I think it's very, I don't know if it's like, I really wouldn't be able to explain it, but I think it really is easy to sit here and think negative and like worst case scenario. Yeah. But I think when people can really start practicing gratitude and optimism, and like you said, positive mental thought, you start seeing best case scenario and like all the possibilities that could happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that that should really, how would I say this, excite someone. And like you said, it helps you push forward, because it's like, okay, if and when this happens, look what else can happen, and I can continue doing this. Sure. And people, whether they're afraid to think like that, they don't know how to think like that, or they don't believe it. I just think, I don't know. It's a big thing. Yeah, and think about this: what we think, what we become. And when you start thinking about that, like I talked to somebody says, "Hey, I can't think positive all the time." Well, because you don't have the true understanding of how your
how you create your reality, how you design your reality, is when you start thinking about whatever you're thinking and whatever your mind is occupied with and what your emotion involved with, that's what you're going to bring, more or less. So if I understand that concept and I know my thoughts is creating my reality, why would I think about things that I don't want? Why would I be negative? Why? Lack of understanding.
Yeah, and I think I really wish people to understand how deep that is, and I still don't understand how deep that is. Because there are times I'll say things to you, and you'll still even catch my mouth, like, "Hey, like, don't say that. Like, it's not busy. It's not stressful." And I think a really simple example to give is like right now I'm in school, so certain times I have like final season coming up.
Yeah.
Especially right before I met you guys, I'd be like, "Okay, it's finals." It's normal for people to like stress out. So I'd be like, "Oh my God, like I'm stressed." And I just keep saying that, but I really wasn't like stressed. Like it's finals, I'm stressing. I have to work hard. I'm gonna stay up late. And then now, like I had finals a couple weeks back, and it came very easy to me. I was like, okay, I've been doing the work. I just need to, study a little longer, make sure I get everything done. But it's not necessarily hard or anything or stressful. It's just more work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's just a very simple example. But like I said, I think I wish people really understood how deep that is and how far it goes. That when you think certain things, that's what you're going to bring about.
Yeah, you do that. You probably hear that from your peers or people in the college. You're studying law, and law school. Probably you hear that around the finals, and everybody says I'm stressed out, and because it's finals, you've been hearing that all your life, and around the finals, everybody say that.
Yeah, and
It's a habit.
It is, and the funny thing is, we're talking product of environment and influence and stuff like that. People, one of my closest friends in school, they thought I was crazy because I said, "Dude, it's actually I'm not stressed. It's not hard." And they're like, "What do you mean? You're so crazy?" I was like, I'm just here doing the work. I think like I don't know. It's a very simple thing. I always like hard work is easy work. Like it's not. If I trust myself and I'm doing it, why do I need to sit here and stress?
Yeah.
And they think I'm crazy for that.
Yeah. Well, because they're not. Nobody taught them that. You know, it's just I always hear that nobody taught them. Hey, you don't have to be stressed. You don't have to suffer. Most of the stress and suffer that we have, we do it to ourselves.
Yeah, it's self-imposed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even, it's like you use that mental thought and energy for no reason. Like most of, I guess, your stress and fears and stuff like that aren't even real.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Very interesting. Tell me something about the reason I invited you, Donovan. First, you're one of the youngest guys that we work with. You're fairly successful in society. You're getting your law degree from Texas Tech.
Yes.
You're athlete, and actually you're trading. Start trading.
Yeah, I've been trading.
Forex, and you're doing very well for your age. And I remember when I was 24, I just moved to the United States, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know. I knew a few people, but it just kind of opened a new door, new world to me. And I was thinking, if I was 24, I wish I had a mentor, and I wish I had someone not in a state of lack, like regret, but in just knowing that if I can help people that are younger and that can change their mind so they can get the results sooner and they can get what they want quicker and they can, enjoy the life and go for their dream. The reason I brought you because we have very few young people that they are willing to work on their mindset. They are willing to change. They are willing to invest in themselves. What will you tell people? If somebody's sitting here and listening to you and saying, "Hey, Donovan, why did you do that? What is it? How can I start? What should I do? What should I expect?" What would you tell them?
Oof, that's a loaded question. I think first it starts off with wanting more. I think wanting more and the desire. Like you said, when you first came to the United States, you're around my age, and you had seen certain things that you liked and always wanted somebody to help you. I think I'm extremely grateful and blessed to be in this situation. And the biggest thing is, like I said, just really wanting more and seeing yourself as more. And I think the importance of investing in yourself is being able to find someone or some sort of information that they've already gone through what it is you want to experience, or they know how to get it. I think the biggest hurdle a lot of people have to overcome is that a lot of them want more, but a lot of people are misinformed. They don't know exactly what it comes to. At least that's how I was in that situation. So I mean, the importance of investing in yourself, like it it's I don't want to say it's everything, but it really is like everything. It's super important, especially if you want to see yourself as more and get better. I think if there's people out there and they're really happy where they're at, and I mean, I get that they don't want to make that investment, and they're fine. But I think a lot of us truly desire things more than where we are, and I think just the investment in yourself and finding somebody or a group of people or some sort of information that can help put it won't they won't do the work for you, but at least help show you how to get there. I think that's huge.
Yeah. And what's your type C goal, if you don't mind asking?
My type C goal, oof, that's huge.
I know what it is, but they don't.
So I mean, ultimately, like you said, I'm about to graduate law school. I've been trading. I think it's something I'm still playing with, especially being exposed to everything I've seen you guys do. But it really is just creating a lifestyle that I want to live, that's meant to be lived, and really showing people what's possible.
Yeah, that's great. What's possible, right?
Yes.
Showing people what's possible, and showing that people first usually they see it to believe it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's opposite. What we're teaching, think about this, is very hard to have people understand this, because we're talking about a lot of faith. We're talking about unseen world. When we talk about mindset, think about this. What are we talking about? We're talking about the thoughts. Can anybody see thoughts? No. And it's very difficult. We just see the results of our thoughts, manifestation of our thoughts. And because we can't see the thoughts, and we don't know how this mechanism works, and we don't know how we're bringing unseen things, energy, to a seen world, to a physical world, it's very difficult for explaining to people, hey, what you want is right there ahead of you. What you want, you can achieve it and acquire it. But they're like, where is it? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it until I see it. But how would you see it? First, you got to see it in your mind. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So if they get stuck and like, oh, no, I'm not going to do the work. I can't see it. It's not possible. And it's not achievable because I don't believe that I can do it. And how would you change your belief toward yourself? If you don't create a higher concept of yourself, create a higher self-image of yourself, that who you are and what you can accomplish, you can never go further than what you can see, ever.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And I think what I've seen is a lot of people, they don't start creating that self-image until they start getting dissatisfied with their certain situation.
Yeah.
Because then that'll kind of push them into action. But imagine if you don't always have to wait until you're dissatisfied or like forced to move. You actually just do it on your own behalf. I mean, the possibilities are kind of limitless. You could take yourself anywhere.
Yeah. That's unfortunate that people have to come to that realization, that they're very dissatisfied and things are not working in their life, to start moving forward and do something about it. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Dissatisfaction is a creative state. When people are dissatisfied, they start thinking about, oh, now what do I do? And that's when they start thinking. Because before that, they're not thinking. But when they're dissatisfied, they're like, start thinking, okay, I'm here. How do I get there? And they start taking those ideas because they're very unhappy where they're at. I'm going to read a part from Book of Power Awareness. I love this book. It's inspired me, and I think this is the best book I have ever read. I read it over and over. Here it says, if you will not imagine yourself as other than what you are, then you remain as you are. Think about this. If you will not imagine yourself as other than what you are currently, if you don't imagine yourself more than what you are currently, you're going to stay the way you are. So you have to see yourself the person that you want to become. We go back to that avatar concept, right?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it says it there. You have to see yourself saying as more than you are, and as just looking into the future and really seeing like what it is I want to bring into my life.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, it's very simple. I think it's a very simple theory, philosophy, or truth, really. Yeah. But it's hard for people to really understand what all that comes with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just takes a lot of commitment, a lot of responsibility, and a lot of
persistent. Persistent. Yeah, actually, talking about persistent, we have a conference seminar this Thursday at 6:00 here in our studio or our events center here in Lubbock. And I want to invite everyone who is local and individuals that you also can get the Zoom link from our website. If you sign up, go to our website, www.iammastermind.com, and sign up for the seminar on Thursday. You can get the link online. And if you're here locally, come to our studio. We have a physical location here in Lubbock. It's on our website. And we're going to talk about the law of success. One of the most important law of success, as every one of other ones, is persistent. How do we persist and acquire things that we want? How do we persist and not give up? How do we persist when we hit the obstacles? How do we persist when we fail? How do we persist when things are not going in our way? When you start understanding persistent, vision without a persistent doesn't mean anything. Everyone can talk about this big vision, but if they don't have the quality of persistence, they don't develop the persistence, guess what? It's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. Bob Proctor, he had a vision. He wanted to teach his material all over the world. He made a decision 60 years ago. 60 years ago. And a couple years ago, it was like 2 years ago, one day on a call, he said, I reached my type C goal after 58 years. I want to teach my material all over the world, and now here I am. He was persisting. If he wasn't persistent, he would never be able to accomplish a big goal like that.
Yeah, and I think generally, the bigger the goal, the more time it's going to take. But just reflecting on Bob, 58 years, that says a lot.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it is. And we have the seminar, we discuss it. We talk about how we can develop persistence. It's not that we don't have persistence or something that some people think that they have it and some people they don't. We all have it. We just have to develop it and nurture it. When you start developing and nurturing it, it's a different game.
Yeah, it's kind of like a muscle. Once you start using it a couple times, you're going to be sore, but it'll get stronger and it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're almost out of time. Any points or any conclusion you want to make out of it, and just finish the call? What do you think?
Yeah, one of the biggest things, like I said, after meeting you guys, extremely grateful. I think one of the biggest things that I'd want to share onto others is you have the decision to make your reality.
Yeah.
Self-belief is everything. How you see yourself, the commitment, the responsibility. And I think above all, just kind of have fun with it. I think life is meant to be lived. And I would want everybody to enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives, right?
Exactly.
I want to thank everyone that on Instagram or Facebook, and thank you guys, Aaron and Manuel. I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. You know, when I see guys that want to grow, want to do bigger things, dream big, they are daydreamers. I always talk to Aaron and Manuel and you and group of guys that we work together, and I always enjoy when I see someone has a big dream. Aaron and I are working on a finance company. He always talks to me about it. It just, I could see in his eyes. He's just, and I told him, I said, hey, if you just keep doing what you're doing, I promise you it's going to come. And I'm telling you the same thing. We talked about you trading and making a couple $100,000 a day. And if you keep dreaming, it's going to come.
Yeah, I think like you're talking about persistence. It's kind of like at least what I learned from you guys, and even studying other successful people. It's like a law. It's like truth. As long as you're consistent, it has no other option than to come about.
Yeah, I want to finish this call with this quote from Napoleon Hill. He says, "Whatever your mind can believe and conceive, it can achieve." And it's amazing. All you got to do, it's believe it and conceive it as truth. And that becomes a reality. I want to thank everyone. Have a wonderful day. And the world is yours. Thank you.